Hey, g'day people, it's Matt here from Matt Carves. We're going to carve this little sticker here today. It is from Perry from the Carving Wizard. Now he's a good friend and I really like his style and the way he puts out videos and all of that. And he's ex-military and I dig that, man. So we're going to carve this today, and this isn't really an entertaining video or anything like that. It's more if you want to learn something, I guess watch it. And I'm sort of, there's no kind of like aspect to it as in I'm teaching you how to carve this or this. It's more tips along the way and you see how I carve a complete carving. Now it took me about 6 hours to do this carving and it's edited down to about 20 minutes, so obviously there's some missing parts. But here we go, this is a carving this sticker here. Okay, so we've got Perry's sticker here, and you can sort of see I've got the block wood here. Now this is a hard wood, this is matai, this is New Zealand wood, and it is dense. It's also sometimes a little bit brittle, and so you want to be aware of that when you first start going into carving. I probably wouldn't recommend something like this to carve something like this in, because you're going to be taking out lots of big chunks, and that's going to take a long time when you're carving hardwoods. When you first start, you want to carve softer woods, just because you can sort of get rid of the wood a lot faster. You don't have to mess around. So as we can see, I have actually just doubled the size of Perry's sticker here. Well, just about doubled the size of it. So essentially when we go to carve the nose, it'll be double that size. So I'm just going to like mark in where the nose is, and we'll start putting in the nose first because that's kind of what I always do. And we've got to be aware of that hat as well. So essentially I just go like this. I'm going to go from the top of the hat to the, I'll go first to the bottom of the nose, which is 3 centimeters. You do this in inches if you want, you just double it virtually. Double what inches you have. And so that's the bottom of the nose. It doesn't look quite right, I need to double check that. 3, yep, that's right. So the top of the nose will be at 2, so that's 4. I'm just going to start carving this nose. This is what I always do. I'll start carving the nose. I'm going to probably take it back more than what you think I'm going to. So that's the center of the block. And I'm going to make that little hat thing come out this way. Probably like that. And so the hat is going to be down 1.5 centimeters, so 3. So the hat is going to start there, and it goes down to about the shoulders, which is about 3 as well. I'll just put a little bit below the nose, so about there. So that's the nose there, and that is going to be the hat. So it's going to come around like that. Everything's going to sort of like, because the block is so big at the moment, and that's fine, but everything will sort of like narrow down as we go along.
Okay, so let's start carving. So you can see there I am carving with the Kutzall Extreme flame burr, and what I have put up there in the corner is a picture of it, but there's also a little number on the side, and that kind of corresponds to the numbers in the description. Now I have affiliate links in the description, and that's the way I kind of make money on the channel, and so I can make these longer videos and more instructive and all of that kind of thing. But so that's just to let you know what that's all about, and it sort of gives you an idea on what I'm actually using at this time. So here we go. You can sort of see here I have sort of like carved back a little bit, and the reason for that is I needed to have that kind of flat area on the hat there, and then the nose was going to be under the hat, whereas if I just started straight away carving on that corner, the hat would be back further than the nose, so we didn't want that. And so what I'm doing here is I'm starting to put in the bridge of the nose, and you will sort of see me, I'll keep on adding the marks as I take them out, and that gives me just an indication. It's quite a good practice to always put in your center line as well, so you can kind of tell where you are. It's quite easy when you're carving on a square block like that, because you just extend the corner of the block upwards. So that is the bottom of the nose there, and I'll just take the corner off a little bit as well. You can sort of see it's going to be quite a challenge today. I haven't really carved these kind of buttony kind of noses on this wizard here, so that'll be kind of fun. Here I am putting in that center line again, and just sort of like trying to envision where the eyes are going to go. Now I usually mark in the nose, but it's usually bigger than what is going to be the end product. Yeah, that kind of sounded weird, the end product. I mean the end result, the nose.
Okay, so we can sort of see here the nose is quite blocky, but it's twice as big as that, well, and some. But I like to make it quite big, and then I'll narrow it down. The thing is that that's the forehead there. We need to take that a little bit further back and make it stick out a little bit more. And so I'm just sort of like sketched it in, I guess that's what you would say. Yeah, it's a tough one when you're carving in a square block, carving something round like that. You've got to think it's going to decrease in size by quite a bit, because you're probably going to be taking off all those kind of edges like that. I'm not going to say that this is going to end up exactly like this, but we'll hope it looks like a little bit of a wizard. Right, let's carry on.
Okay, so what I'm carving with here is the extreme taper. Now I often use the fine taper, but I thought I really needed to remove quite a bit of wood, and so I'm using the extreme one. It's the black one in the series. There's two kinds of tapers in the Kutzall range. There's kind of like a short stumpy one and a long one. So what I'm doing here is I'm just looking at the eyes, and I'm trying to figure out from the middle of the nose to the outside of the eyes. So remember, we're doubling things. This just gives me kind of an idea of the sizes, and you might be looking at this going, oh, this is quite pedantic, but we're trying to get this to look like Perry's sticker. So I'm trying to make the measurements right at the start, and I find the eyes and the nose are probably the thing that really counts in carvings when you're trying to make things look like the carving itself. Obviously other things do as well. Now this is the Dremel cutter burr. It takes off a lot of wood, and it is good for removing a lot of wood. However, I'm kind of thinking this is going to take a long time doing this. I've got a plan B, and it's a Kutzall burr, but probably not as you know it, or not if you've seen on this channel. So I went outside for this one. As you can see, I'm using it there, and it is actually the Contour Fine, which is silver, which I'm a little bit confused about because usually that's gold, but I will look into that on another video. But it's doing pretty well. I quite like it because it's the same kind of shape as what the hat is on this little wizard, so it's handling it quite well. It's pretty easy to use. I actually lowered the RPM on this die grinder, which is a Makita. I think I'm on 4 or 3. But I'm going to do a review later on, and I will go into more details on this.
Okay, so that was the contour wheel. It wasn't this one, this is the real extreme one. I was just using the coarse one, the silver one, and always if ever I get sort of like two things and there's a coarse and a very coarse, I'll always go for them sort of like the lesser of the two just to get used to it, and then I might try this one just so I know how the sort of like the tool pulls or where the problems are going to be with the lesser one, less aggressive one, if you get what I mean. But it did quite a pretty good job. I just kind of went along like that, and it would have taken me ages with the Dremel, but it didn't take very long with this. This is a hardwood, remember, if you was carving in cedar or something like that, it wouldn't take very long for a Dremel to do this. But today I decided to try out this. I have had it for a little while, and I apologise to Kutzall for not doing a review on it yet. But have been pretty busy, so they're pretty good. I'm not going to make any definitive comments at the moment. I just want to get used to them and see how they measure up over time. Need to do a few more of those carvings. So we've got up to this stage. You can sort of see there the hat's going to go down like that. Where did that little image go? Yeah, so the hat sort of goes down over the head quite a long way, and we decided that kind of looks like it's sticking out the back on that, but I've sort of made it more towards the side. I might sort of make it towards the back a little bit there. So we've got to sort this out first, or sort the hat out, and then we can sort of mess with the hat and the head and the beard.
So we're on to the hat, and as you can see here, I am sort of like going with the Kutzall burr still. This is a larger spherical burr. I think it's the black one, the very coarse, often referred to as the extreme. It's the black one. And whenever you buy these burrs, if you're new to buying Kutzall burrs, now if you're buying for Dremel, just buy the 1/8 burr. There's two kind of selections. There's the 1/8 and the 1/4. With the 1/4 is for die grinders and other rotary tools that can accept a shaft size of 1/4 of an inch, but the Dremel classically is a 1/8 shaft collet on there. As you see, I want to sort of like make that kind of gap in between the top of the hat and the bottom. So I'm still going in it with that burr there. Hopefully it's taken away the wood quite nicely, this one. Went to the flame so I could use the point a little bit. Sort of shaping it a little bit. Still needs to like be shaped quite a lot, this hat.
Okay, so we're up to this part here. You can still see I've been shaping the hat. Now this is not going to be the final shape, but it gives me like a really kind of good kind of, what would you say, a baseline to go on. And when we get this sort of basic kind of shape here, then I can start looking at how the face is forming under here. Now I might have to push this forehead back and redo the nose, because as we can see in the photo, it's quite a long way back under the hat. So we can sort of see here that the hat is kind of a little bit strange shape there, so I can sort of like start forming lines and where I think it's going to go, and you can sort of see the hair coming out the side will probably be hitting around about there, so that will probably make about sense, and that face needs to go back probably another like about that much, so we'll do that. You know carving's all about pushing and pulling. It's sort of like, well, not so much pulling, it's pushing it back and thinking, okay, how does that correspond to the hat? How does that kind of work, you know? So I like to put in things in a basic kind of shape and then just see how it's corresponding to the other ones. So using each part as kind of like a reference. Okay, so I'll push this back and level these out here, and so we'll get more of a hat shape there.
Yeah, so I kind of think like when you're a beginner, it's trying to understand what you should carve first on a carving like this. And I always think kind of like the face and the hat are quite good to start with, because the beard is going to really be dictated by the nose, and once you've carved the nose, then you can carve the beard under it. So just don't take away wood that you haven't started carving yet, so the sort of like the wood underneath the nose, I haven't really taken much of that away. Now we're using the Kutzall detail burrs here, really nice for taking quite a bit away, but kind of really small, so you can get those kind of smaller details. Now I'm going around the nose. You can sort of see I'm trying to get that kind of a round kind of sort of like nose happening there. I always make the nostrils a little bit bigger and then I'll narrow them down. Their noses always, you know, they appear bigger at the start and then they kind of keep on sort of like narrowing down. And here we go, we're carving the eye mounds. Whenever you're going to carve eyes, you've really got to put in an eye mound, else otherwise your eyes are going to look really sunken into the head. Now there's always that classic wood shape kind of shape to the beard where it goes down and then up into that corner of the nostril there. You'll watch a lot of, if you watch a lot of whittle carvers, you know, knife carvers, whittle carvers, it's almost like a tick that goes down from the nostril and then back up. And that forms the cheek and the side of the face. I always find like just a little bit further out from the eye, you want to make that almost fall back, not completely at a right angle, but quite a sharp angle going back. You can always refer to your own face. You sort of like go out from your eye and you can feel it then just go back towards your ear. We're using one of my favourite burrs is the Kutzall taper burr here. Before the detail burrs came out, I would use this for a lot of detail work. Now we're shaping the beard. You can sort of see it there. It's quite nice having that little picture of the wizard right there, so you can sort of see what's happening. I can't say I've actually carved a moustache like this. Usually the moustaches that I carve kind of go down in quite a sharp V, whereas this goes quite a long way across the mouth. And it's quite nice to do something like that. We'll use a sort of like the Kutzall flame burr there just for like shaping. Now I'm taking this back and you can sort of see what I'm doing there is I'm trying to form like the shoulders of the wizard, and I might have taken away a little bit too much wood, but I think I can recover from it, so we'll see how we go. You can always change it a little bit. You could make the beard a little bit narrower if you wanted to. And I think this is a nice little video. Even if you're copying somebody else's work, you don't necessarily have to copy this little wizard here, but just trying to understand how other people kind of do it and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's all kind of like steps that you take. I always do the kind of same steps to work down the body and just put in like the basic shapes and then correspond to each other. I'm just trying to work out where that hair kind of comes to. Need to take it back a bit further. And I'd love to give a big shout out to all the members of the channel. It's pretty cheap to join. You get a few free videos as well that is aimed at members, and it just supports the channel, and I appreciate you very much for helping me out here. To all the members, thank you. And if you can't afford a membership, that's all good, and you can just hit that like button. That would be awesome as well. Okay, so we are starting on the details now, and I am putting in the beard hairs. You can sort of see there I go kind of in like a S line, and try and kind of like make the other S line sort of opposite to that, if you get what I mean. Well, it's a bit of a combination. Sometimes you can do them the same as well. Yeah, something like that, and then it's so hard to say how to do them, but just don't do them straight. I guess that's what I'm saying. And do some kind of like shorter than each other as well. And so what I'm using here is the bowl burr. The problem with the bowl burr, it does leave those kind of Okay, so I'm back again to finish off this video. It was a little bit of a call out there. Okay, so we will get back to this beard thing, and what I was doing is I was going in with the bowl burrs, and then I go in with like this sander here. Now I have got this sander linked in the description as well, and you can sort of see it just takes away all the kind of rough edges and all that. It kind of leaves kind of like a smooth kind of finish there. There we go, we're putting in undercuts underneath the beard and sort of like the arm, well no, the chest I guess you would say. You can sort of see I do both angles and it kind of leaves quite a nice kind of like real good V in there. So I go up one way and then swap over and go the other way. Okay, so it's coming to doing the folds in the fabric. Now I'm no expert at this, but what I tend to do is I will go in with a burr, sort of like a rounded end burr. That is one of the detail burrs, and I'll go in with that and then sort of maybe a deeper one, and just kind of work out how deep I want to go. And also then what I want to do is, because it's fabric, it's not going to have any square corners, so then I will sort of round off areas in there. When you're carving fabric, it's always kind of quite good to look at fabric and just the way it folds. Just get a picture of it, or like you've got here, you've got the actual picture of the fabric, so which is pretty good. And so it's about rounding it and just play around with it until it kind of looks right. And I sort of taper the ends off. Okay, so I'm going to approach these eyes, and carving eyes this small is really difficult. I wouldn't recommend doing it at all, unless you have to. It's just it's a bit of a nightmare trying to sort of like copy those eyes. I had a lot of goes at this, and it just didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to, but in the end it looked pretty good. And what I tend to do is, probably what's not recommended, is to carve one eye and then the other eye. I just want to try and keep one eye kind of looking very similar, I mean one eye looking good, and then I can sort of just try and make the other eye match as good as I can. So again, I've sort of gone in and I've put in the eyelids, but I wasn't really happy with them, so I've taken them kind of out again. Now I've got eye videos, and it's probably better to go to those, but it's just sort of like showing you that it is difficult to carve eyes, and there's no one way of doing it. Here I'm sort of like using the point on a micromotor burr, and I'm just trying to get that bottom eyelid in. These are tiny little eyes. You can kind of see there, I've kind of got it quite good there, and I'm just trying to put in the bags underneath the eyes now. So you can always to put bags in if you've kind of run out of room there. On the eyelid, you can always go down a little bit and take it back and form another bag. Just using that micromotor to sort of like fine up the lines and the wrinkles. It's quite nice using a micromotor. They're very quiet and very controlled, I guess you would say. You could do this with a Dremel though. Now I'm going in, I've done this before, and it doesn't work out this time. You can sort of see the pupil goes into the top of the eyelid there, so I took it out again, and now you see when you have an eye mound you can do that a few times, and I'm just going to go in with the point on this and go around and try and form an eye there. It's always good to have sort of like the pupil, you can sort of see it in the sticker, the pupil going under the eyelid. Oh, not the pupil, I mean like the iris. That's pretty good, pretty happy with that. Now I'll put a dot in the middle, hopefully that'll look good. Got to get it in the right place or else it looks really weird. Now I'm just putting in some wrinkles like they are on the picture there. And the same with, this is the same with fabric and wrinkles, is I'll put them in and then I'll soften them after I've put them in, because they always seem a little bit sharp when you put them in to start off with. Essentially now I just sort of sanded and made the whole thing look pretty good, and this is the finished product. Why do I say product? Finished carving. Man. Okay. I think it's a pretty good likeness. Now I am gonna dye the shoulders and the hat and the beard, but I'm not gonna do it at this time. And I'm really happy with that actually. There he is. Gives you sort of like a idea of the size of him. I didn't carve completely around the back. Well, we'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.